I think as well, having kids has made me more myself. I just like to be completely unfiltered because I have no time to be anything I'm not. So I think having kids has also taught me that, there's no time for BS. You have to just be yourself and crack on.
Hello, this is Samantha Saxby back with another episode of Moms with Benefits. And I am so excited to have our guest, Kim, on here with us. Kim is a mom of two kids, ages 5 and 11, and she is actually talking to us from all the way in Dubai. So, Kim, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hello, hello.
All right. So Kim is doing, so many amazing career moves right now. So I'm just going to let her tell us about them. So Kim, talk to us about your work right now and why you're so passionate about it.
Okay, amazing. And by the way, I'm so excited to be on this first podcast I've ever done. So, yeah, guys, excuse me. So, yeah, my work started 5 years ago here in Dubai, relocated from the UK. And right now, I am the director of product and activations for the biggest gym chain in the UAE. So at the moment, we've got 11 locations, and I manage 5 boutique studios. So boutique hit concepts that are in 5 of our gyms. So that's 5 separate businesses. And yeah, I'm trying to manage all that with the 2 kids, which has been very interesting. But the work itself, I'm absolutely in love with. I get to do all the programming for the fitness classes. I get to hire the coaches, train them. I do all of the events and activations. So take them to the beach for a workout, do some crazy in-class brunches with dancers. Anything goes in this company, and I've been able to have full creative reign on everything. So it's been a really, really good experience the last year or so that I've been in this role.
That sounds fun. That sounds so fun and a lot of hard work. And so, how much has the navigation of motherhood and work been top of mind for you?
So like since I've moved to Dubai, I came as just a fitness coach, freelance, because that's all I could manage at the time. I came here, my son was 18 months old and my daughter was 7. My husband at the time, he's had a full-time position, and I managed to get a freelance job as an instructor. So I was just teaching morning classes and a couple of evenings around his work, and it was okay. I'd come home, put him down for a sleep, relax a little bit, then go back out. But after 2 years of doing this, it was really difficult. I was doing 6 a.m. classes, running back home, doing the school run, going back to the gym, teaching 2 more classes, pick them up from school, go home, and then I'd be back out, and I wouldn't get in till 9 p.m. So actually doing that 6 days a week for 2 years, it really, really burnt me out, and I wanted to look for the next kind of level in management. So I did end up getting promoted to regional GX manager. So I was looking after 11 gyms and 1,000 classes a week overnight after the pandemic. But again, it's just kind of trying to fit everything in around the kids. It has been really difficult, and I've had some amazing times, but very, very difficult times as well. And it just led me to want more and more and more, because the more I worked, the more I felt good about myself, the happier I was as a mom. But it's come with trying to balance it all, really. It's just walking a tightrope on a daily basis.
Let's talk about that more. So, you said the more you work, the happier you are as a mom. Like, why? I think a lot of moms can relate to that. I know I personally can relate to that. Of course, there needs to be a balance, but like, why do you think that is? Is it because you have your own identity separate from being a mom? Is it because you are able to grow something else? Or like, I guess just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think a part of the role that I'm in, it's very creative. I'm creating things, kind of looking at things in a different way. I get to switch off that mum brain. So once the school run's done, which takes 90 minutes, by the way, to drop the 2 kids off and get to work, I've been through an ordeal already. I'm ready to switch that side of my brain off and just be Kim. And I get to express myself in so many different ways at work that I just can't when I'm at home. So I need that. I need that for my brain. Like, I like to move. I like to be healthy. I like to be fit. And that's my job role. But I get to inspire other people to do the same. And I see other people just like me with kids trying their best to get the kids to the school run and jump into my class on time. And that kind of thing inspires me to help people, to enable people to be able to do or experience what I do on a daily basis.
That's awesome. It sounds like being a mother and understanding the difficulty of that work life quote balance, you're able to almost relate to clients and better because you're like, yeah, I get it and I get the struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I find that out of all the coaches, because I'm still coaching now, even though I'm director level, because I need to be with the people, it allows me to be able to interact with them. And it's almost like your own friendship group without even trying. I'm getting paid to talk to people and find out about their day and their work and their kids. How is it going? That's a big thing that I would miss if I wasn't working, or if I wasn't working so much, is that interaction with people. But you're not looked at as a mother with all this going on in the background. You're just looked at differently. Like, no one expects me to have kids because I'm so crazy and vibrant and jumping around. It's because I feel free around the office. I'm just, completely myself. And I think as well, having kids has made me more myself. Like, I just like to be completely unfiltered because I have no time to be anything I'm not. So I think having kids has also taught me that, to just, there's no time for BS. You have to just be yourself and crack on.
I absolutely love that sentence. Having kids has made me more myself. That's like the ultimate goal, I would think. Like, that is incredible that you feel that way. Do you feel like it took you a while to get there, and you feel that way because you feel like your career is rewarding that other part of you?
Yeah, so I feel like climbing up that ladder in my career is really, it's brought me into myself, the self that I didn't know I had, because I didn't really have a career before I had kids, and I was just hustling, creating different businesses, side hustles, whatever it took to manage around the kids. It was always them 100% first and me minus 1%, just trying to make ends meet. And my husband at the time was working full time then, and even in the UK, always had a steady job, climbed his own ladder. And I thought it's about time that I did. I didn't know what that would feel like or how I would be or if I would even want it. But the more that I climbed and gained responsibility and kind of branched out, the more I felt I was really capable, and I know I can kick ass, and I want everyone else to know it as well. It's still a struggle, even though I'm in this position and I love my job. It's still like a struggle mentally on a daily basis. Having so many men around me, I am the only female in the office. It's a head office. It's all male. It's all fitness based. So you can imagine the kind of characters that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. Amazing guys, but without realizing it, there is an undertone of, expectation towards females. And I've brought my kids into the office before and they have no issue. But I don't know if it's me overthinking or if it's just how we're conditioned to be. It's definitely still really prevalent even today in the workplace.
Yeah, it's interesting, this concept of how we're conditioned to be. And I hear you. I think it's like, are we overthinking it, or is there that undertone? So, where do you think that conditioning came from, at least for you?
I really think it comes from our parents and before, like how the housewife is supposed to stay and look after the kids, or at least, have a part-time job maybe, or whatever job they have, they can still leave and pick up the kids for school. And that's just always been the thing. And I've always been really honest with my employers and said, you have to be flexible with me. I will work my butt off, but you must be flexible with me if I take this job, which I said outright and bluntly to my employer now. And they have been great. And I have brought the kids into the office, got them some food. They'll chill with me. But I'm always overthinking, like, are they looking at me? Are they thinking something? I know they have, a wife at home that takes care of the kids, or they have a nanny. And all these kind of things go through my head. And I stress myself out daily still. But then some days I'll come in and I'll feel like an absolute boss mom. I've got them here, I'm managing it all. But it just depends on the day. And it's just, I feel like it's always going to be something in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I hear you when it depends on the day. I feel like some days it's like, we got this thing, right? Like, I can work, I can be a mom, I'm on top of the world. And then other days it's like, what am I doing? And it's tough. It's tough. And so it does definitely go up and down. So what I heard is that flexibility with your employer is absolutely critical to you being able to be a working mom.
100%. And I think it should be embraced by employers or any company, because I feel like moms, they know how to multitask, right? We all know this. And we know when we get that time to work, we're fully committed to that. When we're with the kids, we're fully committed to them. But I know we have so much more capability than a lot of people to be able to manage these kind of tasks, because we do without even thinking on a daily basis. So I do think that more workplaces should really welcome like working moms into their environment actively and actually shout about it and make us feel comfortable, because there's so many intelligent, amazing, incredible, creative women out there that they just can't do what they're destined to do because the employer doesn't allow it or they haven't got the flexibility. So I feel like this should really be normalized now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And so, how would you say that your journey into motherhood has now affected or is correlated to your now flourishing career?
I think going into motherhood, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. And being around my kids and wanting to stay healthy myself actually triggered where I am today, because I wanted to find somewhere that would welcome, a new mom, be flexible with me to be able to work out so I could feel better about myself. And the more that I did that, the more that I realized there was a need for it. So that's where I started my first business. And I had a huge garage that I completely redecored for fitness for moms. And I had like every day, 3, 4 moms, they'd bring the babies. I'd have everything set up for the kids. I'd even hold the kids to make sure that they could get their PT in, anything to just kind of enable them to be able to work out. And I did this until I left and came here. And I think that was the catalyst for me coming into the fitness industry, was to help other moms just like me. And then it just kind of went a bit mad. And now I'm a director and I don't know what I'm doing. But it's
I mean, that is absolutely incredible. I mean, I love that you were so supportive and having moms in your garage and having that childcare that they need. Like, it's such support that moms need to be able to, like you said, be healthy, to be able to work out, to be able to go to work. Like, it just feels like it's basic if we want working moms to be part of our economy. So I guess I'm just so thankful that, you found the inspiration that you did and just started doing it. And it's now led you to your flourishing growth here as a director level.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes I think like, whoa, how did I get here? How do I manage this on a daily basis? Like getting up at 6 with the kids, getting home at 9 p.m. But there is flexibility, thank God there is. And today I came home after the school run. The kids are with the dad. I'm sitting back, just doing a bit of work on my laptop. And some days are crazy. Some days are 12, 15 hours. Some days are 5. But they know that I get the job done.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, because you sound extremely busy. So, how do you feel about the concept of self care? What does that mean to you? Do you have to carve out time for that specifically? Talk to me about that.
So my self-care is jujitsu of all things. After a few years of being an active coach, teaching a lot of classes, morning, noon, and night, I was physically exhausted. I was underweight and I wasn't healthy. So that's again another reason why I went into more managerial stuff, so I could kick back on the physical activity and focus more on doing training that serves me, that I enjoy. And then I decided, let's just try a new sport. I've always been interested in boxing and martial arts, but I'd never tried jujitsu. So if you don't know what jujitsu, it's grappling. So it's the art of attacking one's joints and choking each other out. That's essentially what it is. But I needed an outlet for my, any day to day stresses that I had. And it's a place that I can go, and you have to listen. You have to listen, otherwise you're going to go sleep. So it allows my brain to be able to switch off. It's trained my brain to be able to switch off from everything and just focus on that 1 hour a day. And I work this around work. So a couple of mornings, couple of evenings, and I prioritize that time for myself. And I'm actually competing as well, which is even crazier.
That is incredible. You strike me as someone who is really, really mentally strong.
I try to be. I've had my moments for sure. I've had, a couple of years spread across the last 10 years, obviously, of being a mom, that I've had my times. I had second child, I had postpartum depression, and I went to CBT therapy for that. And that really helped to kind of train my brain a little bit. But, as you know, things happen in your life and you can backtrack and go back into those cycles again. And I'm very aware of that now. But I have found that for me, particularly the sport of jiu-jitsu has helped my mental focus and being able to switch on and off to things that I need to at the times I need to, and try not to overthink and overstress. And I really think that's applied to all of my life now. I've calmed down a little bit. I don't get as stressed easy. And that's my personal kind of self-care. And kind of, it's a separate path. It's nothing to do with work. It's nothing to do with the kids. This is just a challenge that I've set myself, and now actively competing in the sport at the World Pros, which is crazy. I did that in November. Can't believe I did it still.
Oh my gosh. That is just incredible. It sounds scary to me, but also like so cool. So badass. So it really feels like, with your kids being 5 and 11, you've been able to now more focus on your career because of that flexibility. But I appreciate you sharing that you did go through a postpartum depression and now that experience has led you to remembering what could trigger that or the anxiety and how to stop it. Like, is that right? Like, it feels like you took that experience and then were able to move forward and having it kind of be a teaching experience. Is that fair to say?
I think back then I wasn't in control of anything. My path wasn't clear. I was just a mom, kind of. My husband at the time actually went to Saudi. He left for Saudi 5 months after the baby was born to work, 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And that's what triggered it, was being left alone and then trying to manage everything myself. So I was doing the fitness classes. I was a professional makeup artist, so I did a lot from home. Literally had the baby asleep in my arms in one arm and doing the makeup with the other, doing whatever I could, but I was alone, so I didn't have that support system. And that's what triggered the depression. And he ended up having to quit that job and come back to the UK because I couldn't handle being alone. However, lesson now, I am alone and I'm doing a lot more than I did back then. And it feels really good to be able to manage my own life for the first time.
Interesting. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Tell me about your current relationship status and how you feel it's evolving your journey in motherhood.
Okay, so right now I'm going through a divorce process. Came here with my husband 5 years ago, but obviously things had broken down. And actually, it was an amicable decision between both of us after a few conversations. And we decided, okay, this is it. Let's do this and be real kick ass co parents. And that's it. So we agreed, and we've just done the divorce application process. So that's all kind of in play right now. But obviously, that changes a lot of things from, when I started this particular job to today. It's changed the whole landscape of my life here. So for the first time ever in my life, I'm living alone, managing all the bills alone, managing all the school runs alone, managing half the school fees. Everything is now down to me after, overnight. So he's moved out. And I was so scared. And I did kind of almost go back into that shell of that fear from the postpartum, feeling alone, everything. But actually, through the process of being in a managerial position, a directorship position, and doing my jiu-jitsu, all those kind of things have come into play to kind of control and breathe and actually move through things a little bit more strategically and only do what I can do. And I've realized I can't do everything. Before, I would do everything possible to make sure everyone else was happy, people pleaser to the max. But now I'm just saying yes to the things I know I can do, being honest if I can't. And it really has helped me. Like, this divorce has actually helped me to stand up on my own 2 feet and feel like if I can survive in a foreign country that's very expensive and live on my own, I've done great so far just to get to this point. So I'm really proud and really happy for the experiences that I have had, good and bad, over the years, because it's brought me to this point now.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. And so I hear that, and it sounds like your career and the strengthening of your identity that your career has helped you through this now what could be a very struggling time and helped you not go into that shell that you talked about. And so it's another way being a working mom has kind of empowered you to continue your independence. And I like that's cool. Like that's powerful.
It really is. Like, I never thought that I would be this comfortable with the situation that I'm in now. No family support, not really any friends here. Obviously, there's a few that I've made here, but like family, friends, there's no one around me. And I'm going through a divorce and I've got a full time job. And it's like, how am I managing this? But actually, I'm quite calm in the mind. And I wouldn't have been like this a few years ago for sure. I would have freaked out,
Yeah.
had a panic attack. But because of the roles that I've had and the different things I've had to experience and work through here, it's definitely set me up differently moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you mentioned also your default was people pleasing. I think a lot of women can relate to that. A lot of people in general, of course, but moms specifically. So, how did you feel like you were able to avoid people pleasing?
I think it's through past therapy that it was pointed out, and they kind of made me think on things. And obviously, as things happen in different jobs, you have people trying to get you to do stuff for them, or trying to squeeze as much out of you as possible, which is normal. But it's about learning when to say no, or just being, what I always like to say is, I like to be unapologetically myself. And if that's not good enough, then that's not good enough, and I'll move on. I've just learnt to be that way now, and it doesn't make me a bad person or anything. It's just being super authentic, and that is the best way to be in business, in at home. Yeah, the best way to be for sure.
There's this quote about being a plant or a flower and you go where you blossom. But it's this concept of like, if your environment and your situation isn't making you radiate and grow, then maybe you need to change your situation. And that, I had a former employer that I felt like that. And I was like, I feel like I'm doing everything I can to make the most of this, but it just wasn't the right situation. And so, I plucked myself out. I put myself in a new situation, and now I feel like I'm really flourishing. Just, nothing's bad or good. It's just different for me. So I don't know. I relate to that a little bit. So thank you so much for sharing all of this. Real quick, I do want to ask you, because you had your two kids in the UK, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to Google it quick about what Dubai's maternity leave process is. And based on the quick Google search I did, is they offer females 45 days paid and then 15 days potentially after that half paid. And so that equals like what, 60 days, which is like maybe 8.5 weeks ish, if I'm doing the math right. So that's not a lot.
No.
And so what's your temperature on, maternity leave in Dubai?
I mean, obviously, I came with the two kids, so I never knew about it until actually a few weeks ago. One of my old coaches that used to teach for me, she had a baby, and I saw her outside the gym with the pushchair. And I was like, "Oh, how's it going? Like, he's still off?" She was like, "No, I'm back at work." I was like, "What do you mean? He's only like a couple of months old." And she's like, "Yeah, we only get this much time off." And I was like, "What are you going to do then?" Like, they're being flexible, which is great, but not flexible enough that she can actually go back to that full-time earning potential and actually grow and move through the career to any other next level. So she doesn't really know what she's going to do. Thankfully, she does have a partner that she can be supported by, which is great. And that is probably the only way that you could have another child in Dubai, is if you had a partner that could earn enough to support you. There's just no way I could do it. Like, I would have to just leave the country. If I got pregnant now, I'd have to bail, because there's just no way in Dubai. Yeah, tip for anyone moving to Dubai: have your kids first, then come.
Hot tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the US isn't much better. So I resonate with that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kim. Before we end here, we're going to play a little game where I am going to name a word, and then I'm going to ask you the emotion that first comes to mind after I say that word.
Okay.
So there's no right or wrong answers. It's just how you're feeling at the time. So the first word is kids,
Amazing.
pregnancy,
Difficult.
mental load,
I was going to say strong, but heavy.
finances.
It stresses me out. Upset.
Your your face looks stressed right now.
I'm just thinking of school fees over here.
And we didn't really touch on this in our conversation today, but insurance.
Insurance. Covered by work, so happy about that.
Nice. Okay. And last one, the future.
Promising.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, Kim. It was so great learning more about your story and journey in motherhood.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Moms with Benefits is on a mission to empower moms for the financial impact of motherhood. If you're a mom willing and even excited about sharing your journey and challenges with other moms, we'd love to have you apply to be a guest on our podcast. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at momswithbenefits.org, and our application is linked right in our bio. P.S. We see you, Mama. You're working hard today, and you are doing great.